and answer session. Amitabh sir, Dr. Amitabh Pandey is Associate Professor and Coordinator PGDM course. He's the coordinator for Internal Communication Cell and convener.
Viresh sir, let's not spend time in the formalities. Let's start with the question answer. You're already late.
Okay.
Let me start the question answer session. Thank you very much, Viresh sir, and thank you all the resource persons, the distinguished speakers. You have very well placed all the nitty-gritties of business analytics in front of the participants today, and it was a very informative deliberation by all of you. And we have got certain questions from the participants. Although we are running short of time, already we have crossed the time limit by more than 45 minutes. So still we have few questions, and I'll be taking those questions. Some of the questions are directed to a particular resource person, and some of them are open questions. So I begin with the first question, and this question is for Mr. Dr. U. Dinesh Kumar. So this question for Dr. U. Dinesh Kumar is I think Dr. U. Dinesh Kumar has left. Yes. This question is for Dr. Umesh Rao Hodge Gatta, and the question is IBM Watson in healthcare industry is a threat for doctors. Already IBM Watson has proven to be threat for lawyers in US. So can you throw some light on this emerging trend that business analytics is now proving to be a threat for certain professionals?
Oh, no, not at all. I don't know whether you are following the latest news, what happened to the IBM Watson. It actually in one of the hospital, it predicted wrongly, and then hospital, matter of fact, sued the IBM, and then IBM ended up paying penalty. Since then, IBM Watson, they're playing a very low profile today, if you look at it. So another question that you should ask is, how confident are you to go to a doctor? I mean, go to the AI and machine learning and automated system to predict a drug that is required for you. So that is the question you should be asking. How confident are you? I am not very confident. So though I am a machine learning expert and machine learning specialist, so the reason is, even to build a machine learning system or an AI system, you need a human intelligence. That is one. The second one is, it's all based on the historical data and the past data. So even if it is prediction may not be 100% accurate, though it can be 99.999% accurate, but 100% accuracy is very challenging to achieve. So it is only an assistance today, I would say. It will help the doctors to see the patients maybe more quickly, as I gave an example of an X-ray, looking at the X-ray. So if instead of looking at 50 X-rays and then talking to this 50 patients, so if I can, AI can assist in looking at, prioritizing, okay, this is really a major problem, and this is something the patient you should look at first. So that way, it will assist the doctor. So I don't consider it as anything as a threat at this point.
This question has come from Shalini Tripathi. So her question is, how can we use business analytics for retaining customers?
Yeah, so in terms of retaining customers, basically customer retention and then loyalty, that's one of the biggest area in retail analytics. For example, whenever you go for shopping, whenever you go for any online purchases, you actually are entering your mobile number, and with that what happens is your history gets tracked. Now, customer retention is one way. So think about Amazon. While you are shopping on Amazon, all of your shopping is tracked, and next time when you log on to Amazon, you get recommendation. Hey, you bought a razor. Now, do you want to buy a set of blades? Or you bought a skin cream. Do you want to buy a shampoo? So it's basically called recommendation system. In terms of customer retention and repurchases, that's one of the major tools what they do, which is like additional sale or retaining a customer. In terms of, think of telecom sector, whenever you are talking about telecom sector, there is something called customer churn analytics. Now, customer churn analytics, what happens is based on your caller history, based on your data usage, based on number of calls in roaming or within locally, based on your number of calls. So all of your data would be analyzed by a telecom company. So let's say you have been making less and less number of calls on XYZ telecom company. So with that, the company would get an alert that this customer is likely to churn. Now, as a part of that, you might get a retention call. Let's say if you are a customer of Airtel or Vodafone or Idea, you might get a retention call saying that, hey, we've seen your usage is less and less. We are providing you this offer, or you might just receive an SMS that this much of free data based on your purchase of this. So you would get some kind of add-on offers so that the company is able to retain you. So one part of the thing is, if you are looking forward to switch your subscriber or telephone operator, you could do that, but company would try to provide you some incentive so that you are able to stay in the network. Another part of that is the companies use your data to be able to sell and upsell next time whenever you log on to their site, and then turn you into a loyal customer. So I hope I answered the question.
Yes, sir, you have answered it so brilliantly. Thank you so much, sir. And the next question is for Mr. Kapil Malhotra, and this question is the business analytics is kind of an invasion into the privacy of customers. So ethically, is it correct to keep an eye on the customer's behavior on the internet, and how to, from customers' perspective, what is the way out if we want to safeguard our privacy? What should we do to not allow the companies to have an eye on all the activities online, which is for them it is a business analytics, but for us it is the invasion of our privacy. So your views on this, Mr. Kapil Malhotra? I think he's not there. So if anybody of you would like to take this question.
Sir, Kapil sir is there.
Kapil sir, are you there?
Unmute his mic. Kapil sir. So maybe we can take another question. I'll just call him.
You unmute him. I think maybe he's not the co-host right now. Is he? Okay.
Yeah, now I'm able to. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I'm audible. Sorry, I was unable to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big question. I mean, data privacy, I think Dr. Dinesh also talked about that. The whole data privacy is a big topic. As consumers, customers, we don't want all our data to be shared and be used for purposes which are very business centric and be bothered by such efforts. So I think with every new technology, there are misuses. Okay, so some of the players do misuse and things like that. The thefts happen on the customer data, etc. And but at the end of the day, it's all governed, and that's my personal viewpoint. all the usages of data are going to be governed by the existing regulations, right? So in some countries like Europe, etc., you do have stricter regulations. But even today, whatever apps you choose, how many of us actually go through the entire privacy policy of that particular app, right? And read through what all will be shared. So as such, the such organizations or app providers are asking for your consent for the data to be used. In that sense, it becomes fair for the marketers to use that data for the purpose that which has been consented for. Now, all that consent, etc., P2 data, which is personally identifiable data, it's all going to come under some regulation even for the India market, and that will have some impact on the usages of such data. But to keep it short, it's governed, the usages is governed, the customer consent is the first one. But yes, there are misuses. Till the time we have the larger regulations, it won't be controlled. Okay.
Thank you
Hope
so
that
much, sir.
answers.
Yes, that was a perfect answer. Thank you so much, sir. So now the next question is for Mr. Rohit Mangnani, and this question is up till now we have discussed from the company's perspective how they are using the business analytics for improving their sales and retaining their customers. But what is there for the customers from customers' perspective? What is the utility of business analytics for a customer?
If I go back to my example, while we were showcasing better profiles for the customer, which you want at a subconscious level, think of it from the customer's perspective, he's finding a better bride or a better groom. Likewise, if you're searching on Amazon or on Netflix and the recommendation is great, it saves you a lot of time that, the 2 hours that you spent on a movie on Amazon Prime or Hotstar or Netflix was really great because it's of the taste that you like. Now, whether it's that 2 hours that you enjoyed or your life partner that you found the right one, it's a lot of benefits to the customer. There's a question about data privacy. I think it's a lot of bull and crap. And I'll tell you why. Because, if all of you guys are concerned about data privacy, switch to a feature phone. Nobody's forcing you to share your data on a smartphone with various people. If you are going to use a smartphone, your data will be used in tons of ways, and you cannot, even if you read the privacy policy of different companies, how does it matter? You can't control it. You're signing up for it. You don't have options to control that, this is what I'll give to Google, or this is what I'll not give to Google. You can, but very partially. So practically speaking, you want to be, you don't want to benefit out of the data thing, then you go on a feature phone. Otherwise, you as a consumer are benefiting so much out of all the analytics that different companies apply to serve you a better result, whether it's Google Maps or whether it's a dating site or whether it's a e-commerce platform. There's very little that you can do to get out of it. You are the one who's going to lose.
Thank you so much, sir. And now this question is an open question, and this is actually a very practical question. Like we academicians also face this problem. This AI and machine learning, business analytics, all this being a new emerging subject, there is a huge gap between academic teaching and industry practice. So how can this gap be filled?
I'll take a bit of this before the academy. So the field has been around for a long time. It's about, how do you get practitioners to think of use cases? And the reason I gave you a very unique use case, you would not read about such a use case in any business analytics textbooks. Every business analytics textbooks will talk about retail and how a better product can be sold by a retailer. There has to be any business that you are in, practically anything, whether it's healthcare or it's oil and gas, there is massive use of analytics which can happen. it's really for the leaders in different organizations to give a freer hand and bring in data scientists into their companies. A lot of that is happening now with some industries more at the cutting edge, but at the academic level, also more examples need to be taught to students so that when they enter the working life, they are also aware that you can use analytics in many different ways.
So if any one of you also wants to add something to this question, Amit ji, Kapil ji, Dr. Umesh.
Yes, yeah. In my view, you know, I think just like how how the companies are giving an opportunity for internship to the students, similarly, companies also should provide an opportunity for the faculties to go and spend time in the industry. So that way, even the faculties will also be exposed to the real world, and also they will benefit about the real world environment, and they will be able to impart the knowledge to the students in a better way. So I think the summer 3 months, at least in the United States, we have that advantage. Pretty much I can do consulting and also teaching. Nobody stops me. No company in the United States tells you are an academician and then you cannot come to us. So I probably an example where I was in industry, then I went back to an academics. I was teaching in XLRI. I was, I got my PhD, and then I came to the United States. I joined an industry. All the leading industry wanted me with my knowledge, and then right now I'm in academics as well as I'm in industry. So this is really giving me both the sides where I can learn what's happening in the industry. I can impart to the students. So that culture has to be cultivated even in India. That will greatly benefit all the faculties, and I really encourage the industries, and whomever I meet, the CEOs and the executives in India, I strongly propose these agenda to them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I agree. I'll just take a minute. I totally agree with Dr. Mukesh and Umesh, sorry. And this is something that, especially in India, you don't see much of. While there are few organizations, and I've been party to that, where we've partnered with the top academia for close collaboration on projects and things like that. So, so that's one. But I think at a base level, for anyone aspiring to build a career, I think many of the speakers touched upon in their delivery of the sessions various tools or applications of analytics, etc. But like with any other career, there is no second to hard work. Okay, especially in the times that we're looking, start of the career 0 to 5 years is lot of struggle. So put in that lot of struggle. Okay, have mentors in the industry. Okay, so have mentors in the academia industry who can guide you well, or seniors in the industry. So I think they and yourself truly it's a path of continuous learning, right? So every year when you do your self appraisal, also a good time to do your own self assessment on your learning, right? So, and there would always be adjacencies. I mean, if you've done one, there would definitely be 2 to 3 things that you can do around that, right? So that second and third, gradually you will have to align yourself as you build your career in analytics, is as a data scientist, if you love that part of the business, or business analyst, or data administrator, or the new one which was talked about, like machine learning coder, whichever that is, your domain experience, which is the functional and domain industry, is going to be very, very important. So try to not, in the initial part of your career, spread too thin in multiple projects, or one in sales, then in supply chain, or one in one industry and then another. Stick to one larger industry, 1 or 2, or take 3, but that's it, right? Similarly, take 2, 3 functions that you will stay attached to. Okay, make sure even if the remuneration is not great, that every industry goes through cycle. Okay, so there are good days or bad days for every industry. Some industries have low beta versus the other. I mean, they are more volatile or less volatile versus the other, or get impacted by macros differently. But there is growth in all the industries, especially if you talk about all the developing markets, especially India. Every business is bound to grow. There's great. I mean, infra is now going to see some light of the day as the India. We are still a lot of catch up to do with China. I mean, just see the analysis 3 days back, which came in toy. Per capita being lower 30 years back of China versus 5 times now, right? So things like that, right? So hard work, okay? Hard work, put in your best wherever you're good at, just build on that, okay?
Thank you so much. So with this, we come to the end of the question and answer. Thank you very much,